Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, corporate executives have negative value. Let me explain. All right. Capitalists are very fond of the idea of low wages and even more fond of the idea of eliminating the minimum wage. Those who propose this idea like to say that a worker should be paid what they are worth to a business. Of course, they can never truthfully explain how that value is determined. If one were to follow their reasoning, a person's value would rise and fall according to their age, their health, their mood, even the time of day. The comparative value would also mean a worker's value would rise and fall according to business volume, no matter how little the worker could control that volume. Capitalists are not known for having an especially strong grasp of dynamic concepts, so I have never once heard any of them go into as much detail as I have thus far. Even if they considered all of this, not speaking about it in these terms leaves one with the knowledge that they are being opaque for very good reason, which would be their own dishonest motivation. A just as valid statement would be that the worker's value to the business could rise and fall according to the mood of the owner or manager. Of course, socialists feel that all workers deserve a living wage. If a business needs a worker to perform tasks necessary or even desirable to help the business function, that person should be paid a living wage. The business needs those work tasks performed enough to have a person perform that work. Most often, these are tasks which require the worker to leave home, commute to the workplace. It costs them time, money, and possibly separation from their families. The worker needs an income. They are most likely not attending the workplace for entertainment purposes. Still, let's follow the capitalist reasoning in actual terms. In nearly every case that you can name, corporate executives and investors contribute far less to a given business than the lowest paid worker in the largest corporation. They perform few, if any, acts of physical labor. It is genuinely rare that they offer any form of business or technical knowledge which is not possessed by other workers inside of that business. Companies hire people for their knowledge, skills, abilities, and labor. Yet the investors hire executives because of their own lack of knowledge, skills, time, etc. The executives hire people to work for them because the executives lack knowledge, skills, time, etc. They may hire outside consultants to do some work like accounting or advertising. Most businesses can function quite well with no executives. Workers for large corporations can be thousands of miles from the corporate office, yet are still capable of performing their labor without the executives being present on a daily, minute-to-minute basis. They may never meet any of the corporate executives in person, probably don't know the executives' names. And the executives definitely don't know their names. The executives may never be present in the corporate office, and nobody in the organization outside of that specific office would even know the difference. In fact, the physical office may not even exist. As far as investors, all businesses must have startup capital, yet that capital can come from many places. I make the distinction between stockholders and bondholders. Bonds are honest vehicles of funding for a business. They are loans the business takes out. They are instruments of debt. Yet, once the debt is paid off, then it is paid off. Stocks are not the same. They are instruments of debt which never ends until the business no longer exists. Investors offer no added value to a business. They perform no labor, most likely offer no expertise. If a business is successful, if the business had loans or bonds to pay off once that debt was paid, then investors offer no more contribution to that organization. With all of that, executives and investors most often claim incomes far above that of the workers for that company. While many jobs are being automated at an accelerating pace, we never stop and think of the jobs which could be successfully automated. At least, corporate media never examines that question. That's because the answer is that most corporate executive positions could be more easily, less expensively, and most successfully automated. Capitalists like to claim that business is a science. Millions of people each year go to school to learn business administration. If business administration is a science, then the replicatable data which goes into performing an administrative position could be programmed into a database, an open source database, which any business could use, plug in a few specifics to their organization, and the business would run without any problems. Because they're all following a science. Even investing today is most often done by an automated algorithm. The only human necessary is to set up accounts and deposit initial funding. Since they may never meet most of the workers, one cannot claim that executives or investors manage people. Imagine a worker is a programmer that works for a software company. The CEO has an MBA, Master of Business Administration, but no knowledge of programming. In this case, the programmer contributes more to the functioning of the business than the CEO does, and should earn more money. Advertising. The company probably has an advertising department and may also contract with an outside ad agency. Ideas. Companies hire workers to come up with ideas, then compensate most of those workers poorly. Or companies copy what other businesses have already done, like making cell phones or toilet paper or what have you. Then you have corporate espionage. On rare occasion, a CEO may come up with an idea and then tell workers under them to develop the idea. How many of us come up with an idea and, it's perfectly realistic, viable idea, but have no underlings to demand they develop that idea or product? We may not come up with these ideas on a daily basis, but the same is true of executives. It is quite reasonable to assume that 99.9% of business executives have never had a single original thought in their entire lives. The example can continue on down the labor chain to the janitor. The janitor contributes more to the actual functioning of a business than the corporate executives and investors. workers and customers have no desire to be present in unsanitary surroundings. Okay, there can be some exceptions to that statement, but I'm referring to normal human beings here. All right. Corporate executive positions are not functional positions. They are political positions that serve no constructive purpose. In the end, executives and investors are not benefits, but liabilities to businesses and the general economy. The exorbitant sums paid in executive salaries and bonuses and benefits and investor dividends take money away from worker pay, which otherwise would allow businesses to hire more workers and become more efficient and or pay higher wages and salaries to existing workers, improving retention of the best employees and increasing job satisfaction. If the same business were a worker co-op, that is where the profits would go. If the money were paid to worker consumers, the majority of the money would be spent in the general economy, improving the economy in real terms. Instead, the money is hoarded in bank accounts and overly leverages the stock market, leading to the destabilization of the economy and the inevitable next financial crash. So, when capitalists talk about paying workers what the worker is worth, they're being completely disingenuous. This is why they consistently use vague terminology and sound like they are reciting badly memorized quotes, because that's precisely what they are doing. The vast majority of people who claim to be capitalists are not capitalists. They own no capital and have no understanding of economics. They recite words they have heard like scriptures from a religious text written in an ancient foreign language which they don't know. They may hurl insults and profanity when challenged, but will never respond with rational observations. Even on the very rare occasion they do respond with reason, it is not their own reason, but again, words they have memorized. They devoured it, chewed it up, swallowed it, and they're regurgitating it. That's all they're doing. These are words and concepts which preclude all humanity, all compassion, and all ethics. The final logical determination to be arrived at is that capitalists are thieves. They steal from workers. They steal from the general economy. They have no loyalty to anything but their own excessive hoards of wealth. Even Marx predicted and observed that the worst enemy of capitalism are capitalists. They are the enemies of society at large. We cannot see them in any other way. These people steal from you and I on a minute-to-minute basis. So if we really want to pay people what they're worth, the ones that get paid the absolute least should be corporate executives and investors, stock investors. Again, I don't believe the stock market should exist at all. We should have a bond market, but no stock market. We need to eliminate the stock market. Every financial crash in history, in U.S. history, has been caused by the stock market. So we need to get rid of it. And we need to stop worshiping people like freaking Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. Okay. You know, the lowest worker, the lowest paid worker in the company should be making more money than the corporate executives and the investors. All right, so share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.